Viewer discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends chug wine.
Two friends chug wine.
Chat
Take
true
care.
and unleash their worst Minnesotan accent. You
Guys, this is our first recording since the new year.
I'm a little rusty.
We are hanging on by an absolute thread. We were supposed to start an hour ago, but I have been trauma dumping on Lucy off camera for the last 40 minutes. And I didn't even tell you everything because there's more to it that I can share.
Tell me.
Well, I'm Amanda.
Oh, I'm Lucy. I'm the receiver.
Yep. And
Amanda's the dumper, the big dumper.
I'm the big dumper. Okay. So I've been down this road before. I will be down it again many, many times. My relationship with my bed is not a healthy one. And my operating hours are between like 11 a.m. and 2 a.m. And I really want to shift those hours from like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah.
is what I really want. And so to try to hold myself accountable, because I'm a fucking obliger, so I can't actually hold myself accountable. Or I'm sorry, I can. I just really struggle. I need people counting on me to show up in order to do anything, basically. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the life version of the ADHD need for a deadline or you won't get anything done. Yeah. That deadline for me cannot really be internal unless I am someone else is expecting something to be finished by that time. It will not be completed. Mm-hmm. And that includes my relationship with my bed. Unless someone is expecting me to be out of my bed and somewhere at some point during the day, I will always opt to stay in my bed. And since Christmas, it has been bad because we have had very little. It's like that weird in-between time. We've had very little going on.
Purgatory.
And I was staying in bed until like sometimes like 1 or 2 p.m. And it's not good.
The sun's already going down by then.
Oh, yeah. It's been so gray here. I know my seasonal affective disorder is not helping. Like, look at me. If you looked up depression in a dictionary, it would just be this.
I said you looked ethereal.
Yes, you did say that.
Ethereal meets Prison Mike.
And yes, and that's very kind. So I set up a week's worth of co-working sessions that I'm hosting on Zoom at 10 a.m. and lots of people have been coming to. It's been amazing. Today was the second day of it because then I know I'm responsible for posting the link. I have to open the room. They can't use this space if I don't open it. So I have to get out of bed. So my first alarm goes off at 9. My second alarm goes off at 9:30. And I get myself up and I go. But today I was doing it from my neighbor's house because I was dog sitting. Their dog is getting older and has really bad separation anxiety.
Oh.
So we try to sit with him if the fam is out of the house. So I was doing my Zoom from there. Great. I go outside. I take the first step on the stone stairs. And it has been freezing raining for 2 days straight.
No.
And down I went.
Oh, did you catch your butt on the edge?
My butt took the brunt. I kept my laptop and my phone and everything in hand.
Okay.
I banged up my elbow and I tweaked my neck, but I didn't like hit my head.
Oh.
You can't really see it because my lighting in here is terrible.
Ooh, I can see it.
Yeah.
Honey.
It's not great. Nothing's broken. It could be so much worse.
Yes, it could.
But it was just like, I also couldn't get to bed last night until almost 2. So when my alarm went off at 9, I felt like shit. And then when I got out of bed, I immediately threw up. Then got my shit together, got out the door at like 10:55, just needed to walk across the street and open the link. Down I go, but I made it across the street. I got the link open. It's like I woke up, I threw up, I fell down the stairs, and I opened that fucking Zoom room. So while I'm on my last fucking thread, I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back.
I'm giving you one too.
And I wrote my notes.
You sure did.
And triaged a little bit of the email and triaged my personal email and got caught up on Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
And now here
That's
we are.
important.
We're recording, and then I'm going to empty the dishwasher, load the dishwasher, take down my Christmas decorations, and take a bubble bath.
Oh, nice.
That's my goal.
You know what I did this morning? Well, first of all, I was going to offer, if you really want to get out of bed, I can just FaceTime you at 7 when June wakes me up every morning.
No.
I can have June FaceTime you. It's
No.
the best way to wake up in the morning.
My phone's not even off Do Not Disturb yet at that point. My phone automatically goes
notify
on Do
anyway.
Not Disturb from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Yeah, but I never have my ringer on either. Anyway. So the only
I'll
thing that can
disturb
disturb
Bill.
me is an alarm. Oh my, he'll kill you. His sleep patterns are worse than mine. He has insomnia. Once I'm out, I'm fucking out. But falling asleep is a nightmare. It is a nightmare of epic proportions. I have to start getting ready for bed by like 4:30 in the afternoon if I want to be asleep by midnight. I'm so wired.
Oh my gosh. Well, not to, here's a free plug. You know that sponsor, Live Good, the patches? I still had some of those sleep patches left over, and Corey
I
has
didn't
not been
get
able
those.
to sleep.
I should have gotten those.
Oh, they
I'm going to order those. Okay.
really good. He has not been sleeping, and I gave him these patches like 2-3 nights ago, and he was like, holy shit, those are no joke.
Because I just need a little help resetting. And I know that I was staying up so much later over the holidays because I was like, we were with my sister and my cousins, and we were like staying up and chatting. We were binging Heated Rivalry.
Oh, you have to.
We had to. So I'm just like reacclimating. And as we record this, it is January 6th, the holy day of insurrection. And I am
Happy anniversary.
happy. You know what? Shout out to our listeners who've been pardoned. Open your pockets, open your wallets. Send us your money. That's a joke. I highly doubt we have any listeners who were there on January 6th.
They're
God,
paying their lawyers.
yeah. Anyway,
I
life's
got up-
hard.
I got up this morning and, well, I had to get out of bed, get dressed and brush my teeth and get out of bed, take June to daycare, came home, put in a load of laundry, did all the dishes,
Damn.
made my bed. And then what else? Oh, and then I got Jimmy John's for lunch. And they
Yum.
accidentally delivered a Diet Coke. So I had
Which
to
would have made me
leave.
really happy, but that you do not like that.
No. No.
Mm.
No. So I had to leave my house and go get a different fountain Coke and come back.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
If that's the worst part of my day, I think I'm all right.
You're all right.
You know?
Anyway.
I'm all right.
So I'm
Oh.
excited to not be that version of myself for this next 2 hours. I'm gonna shift my perspective.
Good. Let's all
So-
shift our perspectives.
Let's do it. What are we talking about today?
Oh, God. Well, today we have a very special fan pick. This one comes to us from Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn. Lynn has chosen the topic of Austin Atrocities.
Lynn Marie wants us to go to Austin.
Austin, Tejas, that is.
Tejas.
Mm-hmm. Not Austin, Minnesota.
Texas. No, home of the Spam Museum.
Yes.
We should do an Austin Crimes follow-up that's just Austin, Minnesota, which is a population of like 4,000 people max.
It's a cute little town, though.
Hey, Siri, what is the population of Austin, Minnesota?
15,000.
You were way closer. 26,174. I was way off.
Hey.
I mean,
you
anything
got- they
feels
got the
small
river.
when you're just living in the big cities of Des Moines and Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying?
The metropolis.
The metropolis.
Gigapopolis.
But no, we're going to Austin, Texas today.
Austin, Texas. And I have something a little bit different.
Different?
It's like so the same, but it's like wrapped up in a different way.
Oh.
You might find it a little bit interesting.
Okay.
But first, let's get to our very special wine crime pairing. Amanda, what do you got for us this week?
Yes, let's. This week, we are doing another crossover feature with our amazing Ashwin over at UnPINNED Wine Club. So I'm going to kick it over, roll that beautiful bean footage because Ashwin and I got together to talk about this pairing, and it is fantastic. So check it out. We have another Ashwin's Wine Corner for you today, and I have to confess, when I first started collaborating with Ashwin and looking at the upcoming episodes, I was like, let's pair a wine that's like perfect for the cold weather that these Austin douchebags never even get to experience because it's so fucking hot in Texas. But in the spirit of that, Ashwin found something amazing, but like the pairing evolved because as he shared more with me about it, and I actually like looked at the color of this wine and then looked at the fucking Texas Longhorns logo, I was like, hold up, it's the same color. So this is less about me bragging that we get to experience the cold here, especially, you know, in the wintry months, and y'all don't, and more about me honoring Texas sports fans, the greatest sports fans of all time.
Wow.
And there you go. Wouldn't you know it, Ashwin has a wine that's like I said, almost the exact color of the Longhorns logo, which what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
It's shocking. So tell us about the wine that you picked for this episode.
Totally will do. I find it so funny that you're bragging about the cold because that's
We have
100%.
so little.
I would complain about that. That's
We have
not
so
something
little
I
in the
brag about.
Midwest. We get snow. We are fortified against negative 20-degree temperatures. But truly, like, I've been to Texas many times. I genuinely, like, don't agree with the politics, but I love many of the people. And I know that Texas is not fully represented by their government. And so I can separate the people from the government. That's
awesome.
That's kind of what we need to be doing in these insane times. But
Yep.
I have always been shocked. I mean, I think that I'm pretty strong for withstanding cold like that, but I am not made for y'all's heat, which is like why I, make fun of it so much, because I genuinely don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
It's
next level.
It's next level. It's astonishing. People who live in like the American Southwest are a totally different stock of human, and I do respect it, and also I fear it. So the first angle that I wanted to take was like, fuck y'all, you don't even get to have cold weather. But then I thought, let's welcome our
There's
Texas.
an angle here.
Yeah, let's welcome our Texas brethren. So we shifted gears just a little bit.
Love it. Yeah, I think it's hook 'em horns, right?
Yep.
I don't have a college team, so I feel like I can do that. I'll take a quick second to introduce myself, Amanda. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me back. My name is Ashwin Mtsvane. I'm a sommelier, a nice one, and I run the UnPINNED Wine Club. I'm the founder, and I run the UnPINNED Wine Club. We find and send you wines from the other 10,000 grapes. So there are just 20 grapes account for 99% of the wines we drink in the US. There are over 10,000 on the planet. That has been something that like hurts my soul ever since I got into wine. And so just recently I launched this wine club to try and bridge that gap, because most people, as soon as they hear, oh my gosh, there's like more out there than just like Cabernet, Chardonnay, Merlot, Sauvignon Blanc. They're like, whoa, no way. And so I'm taking a flyer on this, honestly, because there's a reason why only 20 grapes account for 99% of the wines people drink, because people recognize them, so they buy them. But I really think folks, once they know that they exist and they taste some of the wines from the other 10,000 grapes, they tend to love it. Like I always say, the first sip is the hardest one to get people to take. And just a little preview into something we'll talk about towards the end of this segment, that I'm giving away wine for free.
Hell yeah.
But to get people to take that first sip. But anyway, I'm excited to dive into this pairing. Should we head that way?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So we've got, as Amanda alluded to, like the color here is going to be the most striking thing. This is an amber wine or an orange wine. And you might be saying, like, the fuck is that? Reasonable.
No,
Most people
for real
haven't had.
though. It's burnt orange. It's amazing.
Yeah. It comes from white grapes that are fermented with the skins. So maybe we'll do like a 30-second quick lesson on the different colors and styles of wine. So we're all familiar with three colors. All of us mostly will know them. We've got white, we've got red, we've got rosé. Those come from two different families of grapes. You have white grapes and red grapes. Red grapes are responsible mostly for red and rosé wine. So red wine is you take the red grape, press it and ferment it with the skins, and you get a red wine. Rosé is still red grapes. You press and ferment it with a little bit of the skins, and you get something that's pink. White wine, you usually press and ferment it, just the juice.
Yep.
So you're basically artificially choosing to waste half the fruit. Like you just press the juice and you throw the skins away.
Okay.
Whereas this wine, and it comes from the birthplace of wine itself, it comes from Georgia. They never abandoned the more natural way of winemaking, which is use the whole fruit. Somewhere along the course of human history, somebody decided, hey, the skins of red grapes are so important. We're never going to make wine without them. There's some exceptions, but for the most part. But the skins of white grapes are useless. They're garbage.
Yeah.
They're refuse. We should just throw them away. In Georgia, you take the more kind of holistic approach. Let's use the whole fruit. And when you ferment the skins along with the must, which is the juice in white wine, you get this beautiful amber, golden, orange color. And the color will vary based on the type of grape, right? So not all red wines have the same color.
Right.
Same thing with white grape skins. Like they can be a little bit grayish or pinkish, orangish or whatnot. So you'll have color variation. This one is, a thicker, kind of like more rich orange. So that's what we've got going on.
I mean, I know that when we think of, especially like in the US with the limited access to all these different wine varietals that we have here, we think of when you first said like, oh, I have this orange wine. Literally the first thing I asked you was like, is this a fruit wine? Like, does it use fermented oranges?
Made from oranges?
And you're like, no. And I was actually pretty shocked because having seen it, if you just look at it at a glance,
it looks like color kind of.
It really does. Like it kind of blew my mind. And also, so I wanted to clarify that this is not like a fermented, fruit wine using other fruit that's not grapes. And two, when you say the birthplace of wine, Georgia, you are not talking about the state in the United States. And I know that we have mostly U.S. listeners, but we are talking about the country of Georgia, the region. Yes.
Yep, 100%. And I'm glad you clarified that because I'm from Georgia, the state.
Yep.
And so whenever I talk about it, there's added confusion because, I'll rep Atlanta gear and stuff. So I'm glad you clarified it. It's Georgia, the country. This is kind of in way Eastern Europe or Western Asia. It's just north of Turkey, south of Russia. And this is the birthplace of wine. And it's crazy to me because, we know the origin story of most like food culture important things, right? Like we know the origin story of sushi or tacos. It's like, if you ask people, where do you think wine comes from? Most people will think Italy or France. But wine predates those by like thousands of years.
Right,
like this is 8,000 years ago is the oldest known evidence of winemaking. It comes from Georgia. Georgia is a country of like 3.5 million people.
Right. Very small.
Very small, 100,000 registered family wineries. So that means like 1 in 30 Georgians is a winemaker. Like that's how deeply ingrained in the culture wine is in Georgia.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
I'll share one more tidbit. You don't really like if you're going to someone's house here, you'll like go to the store, you'll buy a bottle of wine, you'll take it to them, right? In Georgia, that's like kind of considered dishonorable. Because either you or someone in your family makes wine. And so you'll take your wine to someone's house.
Right.
Like that's how closely knit wine is
I love that.
With culture there.
I mean, that reminds me so much of even like when we were in Greece last year, it was like all these different families have they make their own olive oil, all these different, like it was in Crete, there's this like aperitif called Rocky that's not really as crazy as like, the licorice liquor. It's much milder, but like everywhere, every family, every bar, every restaurant has like their own recipe for making Rocky. And sometimes you'll like go to a convenience store and you'll get something and they'll be like, do you want to toast with our own Rocky that we've made? And it's like, oh yeah, okay. I'm at the bodega and I came here for water and like a juice. And I'm also going to rip this shot with these people who made this. Absolutely. So I totally love that where it's so ingrained in their culture that it's like, why would we go to the store and just buy a generic bottle of wine? We're going to share what we made, from our family to yours. That's super cool.
Exactly. It's like an expression of love, right? It's like people have different love languages. Cultures have different love languages. And in Georgia, like wine is part of that love language.
I love that.
And so like this one in particular, this is a Rkatsiteli Mtsvane blend. Rkatsiteli and Mtsvane are both different grape varieties. One, they come from the other 10,000 grapes. Georgian wine, the grapes can be hard to pronounce, but there is an easy trick, which is they are phonetic. So you just literally read every letter that you see because the French varieties are actually harder. So of course we know Cabernet and Pinot Noir just because we've heard them so much. But if I were to put a random French variety in front of you that you've never heard of, that's way harder because you don't know which letters you should and should not pronounce. Because the French are kind of willy-nilly. It's like, oh, you say these 3 letters, but ignore these other 8 on the end of the word.
We just put these here for funsies.
Exactly. Whereas in Georgia, I know it's phonetic. It can be difficult to get the sounds out of your mouth, but if you just say every letter you see, you're going to get close. Right.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So this is Rkatsiteli Mtsvane. It's made in Qvevri, which is the ancient winemaking vessel that's been around for 8,000 years. It's this terracotta pot that they bury underground with just the lip exposed. And it's like, they call it I shouldn't use air quotes. They call it technology, but I don't like that word because that makes us think about like our phones and machines and this and that. But they mean it in the truer sense of the word, in that
like early engineering, like environmental engineering.
That's exactly what it is. It's like a natural technology where you can like make a clean wine that ferments fully without doing anything. Like you literally take healthy grapes, put them in a pot. And because the Qvevri is buried to the ground, it's insulated. So when wine ferments, it gets warm. The Qvevri gets warm. The earth around the Qvevri gets warm. And so the fermentation can continue to completion. As opposed to if you leave it like at room temperature, if you leave it at ground level, when it gets colder, like the pot's going to get colder and that might halt the fermentation. And then now you've got this weird like half wine, half grape juice thing that you weren't really intending to. So it's a really natural and interesting way to make wine, coming from the birthplace of wine. And it's this beautiful amber color, which gives you also these like richer tannins. So these are compounds that come from the grape skin. They really coat your mouth. They kind of like make your like gum stick to your lips a little bit. They're like it's really cool. Like it's really cool.
What kind of, so like those kind of tannic wines that give you that lip smacky experience. I mean, oftentimes in like wine pairing in restaurants, you either want to go very similar in terms of like mouthfeel, texture, flavor profile, or go completely opposite. So would this be like a super tannic wine that has kind of that dry mouthfeel? Would you, like my instinct would be to pair that with like fatty meats, like cheeses, pastas, like really rich.
Spot on.
Okay. That's making me want to like just eat like a slow roasted lamb with like a fuck ton of cheese.
Yup.
And like a really cheesy risotto.
100%. It's honestly like George and amber wines are the best pairing for cheeses.
Okay.
Because they've got like a nice acidity. They're usually like well structured, and you've got this like the tannins can be like firm. They're like chewy. And so when you introduce like the fattiness of like a fattiness, savoriness, like a gorgonzola or a brie or like pretty much any cheese with this like nice fatty and a little bit of funkiness to it, it's just like the best. And some of those cheeses actually don't pair that well with traditional French wines. Some of them do, but Georgian amber wine and cheese is like my go-to.
Super cool.
Drizzle a little bit of honey and like some almonds, and it's like, I mean, that's just leave me a giant tray of that, and I'm the happiest guy on the planet.
I'm not going to try to ask you like a million questions, but I do have one more question. So the color of this wine is predominantly from the skin contact that it maintains throughout fermentation.
Yes.
Does the fermentation process in terracotta have any additional effect on the color or the flavor profile? Because like we said in the last pairing that we did together, it's like in larger batch winemaking, if you want to preserve the unique flavor of the wine, you think about like stainless steel and concrete.
Yep.
But a terracotta is a vessel that I had never even considered.
Yeah.
So like what kind of impact does the terracotta vessel have?
The amphora, the Qvevri have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were two questions there, right? Like one on color, one on taste.
Right.
In terms of color, that's quick and easy. It's just the skins.
Okay.
So if you were to make a traditional white wine, like no skin contact, and you were to do it in a Qvevri, it will come out
look the same.
The color of white wine that you're used to seeing.
Cool.
So the color
really
comes
cool.
almost exclusively from the skins. The question about taste is such a great question, and it's almost like a what does it not do is how I'd answer it. Because like, stainless steel is super neutral, but you have no microoxygenation. Like it is not porous at all, right? Like it's man-made specifically to not be porous.
Right.
And so you have absolutely no interaction between the wine and anything outside. On the flip side, you have wood, right, which is the other traditional thing you'd use. So oak aging. Here, you do have porousness, but you also then have the influence of the wood, right? So you're getting kind of like two things at once. The Qvevri will give you the benefit of the microoxygenation. So it is porous. You'll get a little bit of this oxygen contact, which allows the wine to breathe, which in my mind, like gives it a little more roundness. Like it makes it just a touch more kind of approachable, a touch less like direct and kind of like, you know, linear, but you don't have any influence of the material itself. Like oak will impart a lot of flavor. Qvevri won't really do that. But you get the benefit of this microoxygenation. And then because of their shape, the way like Qvevri are hard to make, like they're Qvevri masters that make them, and there aren't that many left, so they're kind of hard to find. But the Qvevri also allows, like the way it's designed and built in the shape, you end up with a clean wine. Like it kind of filters itself.
Oh, wow.
Because it like gently becomes more like narrow at the bottom. And so you have the heavier elements drop out first, like seeds and stems, and then the cap, like all the skins that bubble to the top when it's fermenting, they will slowly drop down through the must, or now the finished wine. And as they're dropping down, they pull out all the sediment. They just like naturally pull out all the sediment. So when you pump the wine out of the Qvevri, you've got a clean wine that you don't even need to like, you know, like when you're filtering a wine, two things happen. One, you're exposing it to more oxygen, which means either it's going to oxidate or you need to add sulfur. And then the second thing that happens is it's kind of abrasive. You're like pressure shoving this wine through these metal grates. So you don't have to do that usually because the Qvevri will naturally filter it. So you didn't ask that part, but it just came to mind.
That.
So, yeah.
Well, and so would this fall under the umbrella of like vegan winemaking? Because we've also learned along the way of talking a lot about wine on this show that some wines are not vegan because there's like fish byproduct that's used in the filtering process. And so this obviously would cut out the need for introducing a third-party filtration system. It's all just naturally occurring within this incredible vessel. Yeah. So yeah, they could, I mean, if that's something that people care about, then this sounds like it would align with quote unquote vegan winemaking.
Totally. It just allows you to make wine more naturally, right?
That's
now
so
you can
cool.
still manipulate it. Like there are people that are now jumping on the bandwagon of like, oh, Qvevri wine is like a really great talking point and people are learning about it. So they'll do that, but then they also do other stuff because they're like, we want to manipulate this to taste like the Chardonnay that you're used to tasting. So we'll do the Qvevri, but then we might like just look the other way and toss some oak chips in there. And it's like, well, that's not really cool.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we want like a certain color. We want this to be, we're going to filter it just so that it's even clearer and it looks like, you know, what like a Chablis or whatnot, where it just looks as if it reaches this level of like elegance that we've kind of been conditioned to say means it's better quality. But it's certainly, to your point, it gives you the option to not need to do any of that because the Qvevri kind of takes care of it for you.
That's so cool that like, and I mean, it makes me want to do such a deeper dive into how, because obviously this probably required a lot of trial and error and experimentation for them to come up or like discover this incredible method that they've used. And in not discarding the skins, they've not only created like a whole new type of white wine in a way that we're not used to in the States, but they've also used created a natural built-in filtration system, like without having to do all of those extra steps. And it's kind of just like we have this perfect environment. We've created this perfect vessel. We know how to use this natural plant. And then you can kind of just monitor it and let it do what it's going to do. And then you get to enjoy it's completely natural winemaking. That's so fucking 100%. Cool.
You got to the gist of this so much more quickly than I did. Like it took me a while to understand the genius here, but I went to meet a winemaker in Georgia, and like the way he talked about winemaking, he was like, "Look, I'm sure I'm a winemaker, but really I'm just a host.
Right?
I'm just here to make sure the yeast are happy.
Yeah.
And the way I do that is like tend to my grapes, be like kind to them, and then make sure the Qvevri is clean. It's hard to clean a Qvevri, by the way.
I would imagine.
Literally get inside and you're like freaking scrubbing and stuff.
So they're massive. These are
huge.
not like
Yeah,
a
they're big.
household. I would imagine
they're
because
big.
it's a
They're
full
big.
like
I got
wine
an equestrian
tank.
once, actually.
You
And then
did?
I got an equestrian and I got claustrophobic.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying because you're also underground.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a little scary. It was a little scary.
Damn. Yeah. Well, this is super fucking cool. I am, again, so excited to try this wine. Go Longhorns. Longhorn Orange.
Yep.
And you did mention earlier something about giving away free wine.
I did.
Let's circle back to that. What's that all about?
Let's do it. So we're doing a monthly wine giveaway exclusive for Wine and Crime listeners.
What?
And I'm doing this. I jokingly say, like, I'm doing this as long as I don't run out of wine or don't run out of money.
Yep.
But it's 3 bottles of wine included in the shipment, all from these indigenous rare varieties. And if you enter once, you're automatically eligible for as long as we're doing this. And yeah, it's free. It's free wine on courtesy of the Wine and Crime team and UnPINNED team, just like get you to try this really cool stuff. And the details are, if you go to unpinnedwineclub.com/WC, that's UNPINNED wineclub.com/WC, you can enter to win a free shipment of wine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want free wine and like the coolest, rarest, most exclusive wine ever?
That's exactly what we were thinking.
Yeah. So head over to unpinnedwineclub.com/WC to enter to get yourself on the list for a monthly, maybe you'll be the winner of the month.
Exactly.
I want you to be the winner of the month.
Me too.
God. This is going to be amazing. If I had
unlimited money, we'd do some, we'd ship more free wine, but unfortunately it is limited.
We are a business. We just happen to be a fun, cool, and interesting and
100%.
passionate business.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, thank you for yet another incredible pairing. I can't wait to see what we come up with for the next Ashwin's Wine Corner. And as always, if you want to check out some of these wines, check out Ashwin's work. Ashwin is like an Instagram king. Their content is so fun, very accessible. You'll learn so much about all these different wines and also winemaking. Like if you enjoyed even just this little bit of conversation about winemaking that's like very accessible, very down to earth, and not like full of douchebaggery, sommelier bullshit, then you want to engage in UnPINNED's content. And by all means, join their wine club so that, you don't have to wait for being the winner of a free box over the month. You can just make sure you're getting all of these cool wines right away, the way that you want to get them.
And I'll add, if anyone that joins the wine club ends up being the winner, we'll comp your first shipment. So it's it's not like if you join the wine club, you give up your chance to get the free wine. Yeah.
So, I love that. That's a great compromise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. And
thanks, Amanda.
You'll be back and we'll see you next time.
Can't wait. Thanks so much. See ya.
All right, let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors, unless, of course, you are a member of Wine and Crime Uncorked. If you don't want to hear ads, including me talking about Uncorked for many, many minutes at the top of each ad break, you can go get our episodes ad-free at Wine and Crime Uncorked. And yes, John edits out as much of my proselytizing about Uncorked at the top of the ad break as he possibly can, so that you really do get an ad-free experience, including ad-free video, bonus episodes, monthly happy hours, all kinds of fun, weird content. And they just launched this really cool feature that's basically like a forum.
Like a Reddit thing.
It's like a Reddit forum. So people can make posts, we can make posts, you guys can actually like chat with each other on the platform. And so I really love working with the folks at Supercast because it's like such a cool company where they really work with and listen to the creators. And then some of the stuff that we suggest, we start to see them build it.
They make it. It's a product all of a sudden.
Yeah. So by coming over there, you're part of something new and exciting and really cool that we can like really mold into something very unique and very special for the Wine Coven. So come join us. You can check it out at our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com under Uncorked.
And if nothing else, we'll be a little bit less annoying for just $5 a month. And
who
that's
wouldn't
a
pay
bargain
that?
at any price.
Yeah, seriously, we're giving it away. Okay, we're back.
Had to bitch a little bit more off the air between
Man, the shit we can't share is juicy, y'all.
Families are complicated. That's all I'm going to say.
Families are buck.
It's a wild ride, and it's pretty funny sometimes when you're not right in the middle of it. What do you got for us, Lucy, for Austin Atrocities?
Well, we did cover Austin, like a lot about Austin for a live show. Wasn't it music festivals?
Mm-hmm.
Something? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the city of Austin, but I talked a lot about Austin, especially as it relates to the music scene, because Austin is known as the world capital for live music.
Wow.
Naturally.
Natch.
So yeah, like I said, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to tell you about a case, but I'm going to fold it into like a bunch of background about Austin in particular.
Cool.
And
Is it
also,
like an old-timey case?
Mm-hmm. And like that particular time period, and can also explain like how much we know and how much we don't know.
Oh, this is fun. I love this approach.
A little bit. Yeah, I got really high before I started, and I was like, it'd be really cool.
Yeah, and you were right. Hi, Lucy had your back.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So this case is also kind of gruesome because for some reason I was just thirsty for blood this morning.
Okay.
But then because of that, I wanted to look into something a little more historical to give us that kind of cushion of time.
Uh-huh.
It's not fair, but it's what it's.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully 140 years will do the trick for us.
Okay.
So in the area where Austin is today, and most of this is really between San Antonio and Austin, there is a fault zone, like a
like
geology,
the San Andreas.
like the seismic. Yeah. It's called the Balcones Fault. Balcones is Spanish for balcony. So that means at some point an earthquake ruptured the surface of the earth, and in this area it resulted in like lots of caves and springs. As we know, Austin has a lot of natural springs around it.
Yeah, we went to that natural spring-fed pool, that public pool. Were you there that day?
With Logan?
Yeah.
That was in...
Was
that in Austin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It was really cool.
Oh, yeah, it was in Austin.
Yeah. I got tattooed that weekend. That was a great week.
Austin's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, lots of springs as well as escarpments,
Oh,
which
what does
I
that
had
mean?
heard the word, but I had to Google it. It is a long, steep slope, especially one at the edge of a plateau or separating areas of land at different heights. So basically,
Ooh.
the Earth's crust just went. Boop.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, maybe not like the crust, but the land, the geological features. So
Yeah,
there's
like in Land Before Time, how the Great Split separated many of the families,
yes, the Great Split.
and some just went in
Yep.
the cartoon.
So balcones,
Mm-hmm.
you can see how, and then also humans have lived in this area for over 11,000 years, and you can kind of see why this offers, potential shelter,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like caves and stuff incorporated with the escarpments.
Mm-hmm. Escarpments.
You have good like vantage points for both like
Defense and
hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people who live here were like nomadic indigenous tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the several hundred years before European contact, it was mostly the Tonkawa, the Comanche, the Apache, and the Waco peoples. I did find a fun fact from Wikipedia. The Balcones Fault Zone is a demarcation line for certain ecological systems and for species distributions. For example, I think you'd like this, the California fan palm is the only species of palm tree native to the continental United States west of the Balcones Fault.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Because don't you have a thing with like palm trees
Yeah,
not
because
being a native species?
The palm trees that we see in like LA and Florida, like the really tall, like the iconic palm tree, is not indigenous to North America.
I think that's what this is, though. It's called the Washingtonia filifera.
Well,
I'm
maybe
gonna
it's a different
paste it.
maybe it's a different type of palm tree, but that's always what I had heard.
That have like, they get the big hairy bushes underneath the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what this is.
All right, well.
So it is indigenous, I guess.
Then I stand corrected unless I'm thinking of a different plant.
Well, many things could be true.
Multiple.
So, lest we forget, Spain was deeply fucking around with the Americas around this time, specifically between 1521 through 1821. So just a cash 300 years
Yeah.
of genocide and colonization and general fuckery. So they're calling this whole area New Spain. And toward the end of their reign, they set up one of their provincias internas. I'm practicing my Spanish for
doing
Mexico
great.
City.
Yes.
So that was basically an administrative district of the Spanish Empire. Kind of like they just sort of set up little hubs because their empire stretched. It was most of what is now the continental United States, Mexico, Central America, and like a couple little spots at the top of what is now South America. That whole swath was New Spain.
Wow.
So they had little spots here and there where they had like their hubs of administrative business. So one of those hubs was in Texas, which they called Spanish Texas. I think they also had one in Florida because there was reference to Spanish Florida.
Interesting.
So Spain claimed the area, but then so did like a bunch of indigenous tribes because duh.
Yeah.
And also the Spanish weren't actually there yet. They were just kind of looking at a map and they were like, dibs. They
Yikes.
weren't there. They didn't
No.
control it. They just had it on a map, essentially. During the period from the 1690s to the 1710s, sporadic missionary expeditions took place. Missionaries, mission style, American Southwest. The first Europeans to settle in present-day Austin were, go figure, some Spanish friars in 1730. They founded a temporary mission, and then they decided that they didn't really like it there, so they moved on down to San Antonio, where the Spanish eventually established a permanent civilian settlement.
Okay.
So San Antonio has a lot more direct Spanish influence. If you've ever been there or if you know about San Antonio. And
I know a little about San Antonio, but I have not been.
Okay. I think Santa Fe was another one of those. Have you been to Santa Fe? Okay.
Only
It does-
Albuquerque.
It does definitely have like a different vibe, a different feel. So it does make sense that this is where there was like more concentrated Spanish influence. The Mexican Revolutionary Civil War of Independence
Ever heard of it?
lasted from 1810 to 1821. It was a very long, very brutal, very parsed out. It was obviously not one big battle. It was like
A war.
many. Yes. Some white Anglo-Americans fought alongside Mexico against the Spanish. So in the end, as you can tell, Mexico won, Spain was out, and then Texas became part of Mexico. And so just a few years earlier, we had the Louisiana Purchase, and that made Spanish Florida part of the United States. And then obviously the United States got Louisiana. So then there was a very clear line between Louisiana and Texas.
Yep.
So that was sort of the boundary between the United States and Mexico
Yep.
at that point.
For a while, yeah.
But like Mexico's territory, I think around that time stretched all the way up, like I think through like Montana, like the border of Canada.
Yeah, it was big.
It was a bit. They got all that. So New Mexico, Nueva Mexico was like that whole area. Okay, so everything is really kind of jumbled up right now. Territories are moving around. People had different alliances based on where they were living. And this like shifting nationalism made things complicated and also somewhat fluid. And maybe I just have that perception because I have never like dug too far into American history at this particular crux, but it just seemed like A little bit I don't know. I was kind of like piecing things together. And so maybe in my mind it felt unexpected and fluid. But at the time it was like, well, yeah, let's just, I don't know. This is just how the cookie crumbled.
Yeah.
So around this time, around 1881, why did I say that? 1821.
Mm-hmm.
We're not skipping ahead that far yet. A guy named Stephen F. Austin.
Oh.
Led a group of American settlers known as the Old 300.
Mm-hmm.
I hate their names that they gave themselves.
I know.
They're so dumb.
Bunch of dorks. Bunch of colonizing fucking dorks.
Seriously. Okay, so these Old 300 were granted permission to establish colonies in Texas. They were American. They had been granted permission, I guess, by Mexico. They were like, yeah, you can come into Texas and you can settle there. It was basically immigration.
Because at that time, Texas was still part of Mexico.
Correct.
Got it.
Texas is part of Mexico. Mexico basically allows them to immigrate into Texas. You can
say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
However, tensions between the Mexican government and these American settlers grew, fueled by cultural differences, economic disparities, and, of course, the issue of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to focus on this detail. I think this will kind of lay out a little bit more of the context of the case that I'll eventually get to.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just from Wikipedia about the Texas Revolution. So the Texas Revolution being Texas v. Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
The revolution,
and Texas fighting for integration to the United States.
Independence, complete independence.
Completely. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because I think at this point, Texas was like, they were a lot of, well, we'll kind of get to it, but it was a lot of quote unquote Americans, immigrants. And so that basically, I mean, it influenced it. They weren't pro-America, but they were increasingly anti-Mexico.
Sure.
If that makes
That's
what it gets down to. So the revolution began in October 1835 after a decade of political and cultural clashes between the Mexican government and the large and growing population of white Anglo-American settlers in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It should be stated that Mexico was partly a nation of Spanish settlers. The Mexican government had become increasingly centralized, and the rights of its citizens had become further curtailed in turn, particularly regarding immigration to Texas from the United States.
Mm.
So I think when they're saying it should be stated that Mexico was partly a nation of Spanish settlers, it's highlighting the fact that Mexico is not what Mexico was 300 years before.
No.
It's forever changed, and it has adopted a lot of characteristics of the Spanish Empire and the monarchy.
It was altered through colonization, starting with the Spanish and then more like American European eventually. But the Spanish just kind of got there to start that process first.
The Spanish did the most damage over a very, very long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the first major to do that. So, yeah, okay. Whilst the right to own slaves in Texas is believed to be a significant cause of the secession, the main reason was that most of those who lived in Texas were from the United States and just didn't want to be ruled by Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Although slavery is not mentioned explicitly in the Declaration of Independence of Texas, the ownership of a certain type of property was of great importance to many of the settlers.
Mm-hmm.
So Texans wanted their slaves. They wanted their slave labor. At this time, a spike in the price of cotton and also seeing the success of plantations in Mississippi encouraged large numbers of white Americans to migrate to Texas and obtain enslaved people to try to replicate that plantation business model.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they saw it was like a gold rush.
Yeah. A sick and fucking disturbing gold rush.
Yeah. We can get cheap land because there was something like you could get a free plot of land, or you could own property as a immigrant in Texas if you basically agreed to like keep it up, like develop on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like
the rule.
those deals in like small villages in Italy right now that are trying to appeal to a lot of Americans who want to leave the country. That are like, you can buy this like dilapidated chateau for $1, but you have to live in it and you have to fix it up to revitalize that little village. But it's tempting.
It's tempting. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the deal that Mexico gave them because Mexico just wanted to populate and build up this area because there really weren't that many people settled there yet.
Yeah, I don't think outsourcing gentrification is all that uncommon.
No. In 1830, Mexican President Anastasio Bustamante was like, hey, you guys, like, stop. We're not doing the slavery thing. And then the Texans were like, yes, slavery. So Texians replaced slavery with long-term indentured servitude contracts signed by quote-unquote liberated slaves in the United States to just work around the issue.
Yep. You're free, but not. But on paper, you are. And you have no other options, so sign this. It's such a great way to get a contract agreement.
The Mexican government's attempts to restrict American immigration and enforce its laws against slavery led to increased resentment among the settlers, culminating in the Texas Revolution in 1836 when Texas broke from Mexico, establishing the Republic of Texas, which eventually about a decade later was annexed by the United States. So
I love anybody saying that these conflicts were not about slavery, and then you read
it was 1,000%.
and then you
slavery.
read anything about the history and the context and the lead up to the conflict, and it's like every goddamn time, yes, it is. That's always what it's about.
Well, it's not about oil.
Yes, it's always about extraction of resources, exploitation of labor. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Whether you're comfortable with that or not, it is the truth.
It's an old tune.
We're cooked.
The short-lived Republic of Texas was a hot mess. So she only existed for about 10 years. But
I'm actually kind of surprised she made it that long.
I mean, the flag's nothing to write home about, I'll say that. She had a number of presidents and also had
in 10 years, a number of presidents? How often were they changing the guard?
Well, a couple people died.
Oh, no.
Okay. I don't know about any presidents. I'm going to get through it. At the beginning, when at her, debut, she had 5
at her coming out party.
At her coming out party, she had 5 different temporary state capitals.
I love this for her.
Well, not state capital, like a capital.
Right.
It was its own thing.
Country capitals. They're their own country.
They just didn't quite have their shit together, so they were like, well, it's going to be one of these 5. And then in 1837, Sam Houston, who was the second president, decided that he didn't like any of those, so he was going to put it in Houston, the city that was named after fucking him.
Good for him.
Stephen Austin, he served for 2 months as Secretary of State before dying. And despite this, he is known as the father of Texas.
Hell yeah.
Okay, let's talk
about the William Henry Harrison of Texas presidents.
I forget about that guy.
Everyone forgets about that guy. This is why you need to watch Parks and Recreation, which is the only reason I remember who he is.
He got like a bee sting and then died like 2 months in.
No, he didn't wear a coat for his inaugural speech and died of like pneumonia that he caught like a month and a half later. It's the shortest presidency of our nation's history, and it's gorgeous.
I love that.
He might be my favorite president. He did exactly what we're wishing would happen right now.
Oh, yeah. A girl can dream.
Make like Harrison, brother.
So Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Literally Stephen Austin.
No.
Stone Cold he led a bunch of people to Texas to be like, hey, you guys, we can have slaves here. Let's go here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Mexico was like, no.
No, you can't. That's
He was
actually
like-
against the law. You're
he
still
was
part of
like,
Mexico.
hey, fuck you. We're gonna have a revolution. So then they
Yeah.
did. So then they broke from Mexico, and now
Yep.
he's the Secretary of State for 2 months, and then he died.
God bless him.
Father of Texas, everyone. So the next president after Houston was Maribel B. Lamar. He moved the capital from Houston to the new town of Austin in 1839.
Okay.
So the capital was Houston for 2
For a
years.
minute.
For a minute. So he moved it to Austin, and there she stayed.
Do you think Houston keeps growing in size and annexing surrounding suburbs
Neighborhoods.
because it's still butthurt that it only got to be the nation's capital for like 2 years?
Well, then it was
'Cause
only
I
a
love
nation
that
for
her.
10.
She's petty. I
She
love that
is.
for her.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, if I can't be capital, I'll just be everything. Soon I'll be all of Texas.
Ew, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the capital to this day is in Austin, which I thought it was Houston, so I did have to Google it to confirm that it was
Okay.
Austin. It is. According to local folklore, Stone Cold Steve Austin had negotiated a boundary treaty with the local Native Americans at the site of the present-day Treaty Oak after a few settlers were killed in raids. He's just a diplomat in that way.
Yeah. Wow. What a good guy.
So, city planning wise, there was, I think he was a literal judge. His name was Edwin Waller. He was
Ooh.
chosen by President Lamar
Mm-hmm.
to be the city planner. So, Waller chose a 640-acre site on a bluff above the Colorado River, nestled between Shoal Creek to the west and Waller Creek, which was named after him, to the east.
Okay.
He and a team of surveyors developed Austin's first city plan, commonly known as the Waller Plan, dividing the single square mile plot into a grid plan of 14 blocks running in both directions. One Grand Avenue, which Lamar named Congress. Ever heard of it?
Mouth Congress Avenue.
Congress is that main road.
Oh. Well, whatever. It's Mouth Congress.
Okay. It's like their main drag.
Okay.
It cuts through the center of town from Capitol Square down
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
we did
Colorado
drive
River.
on that, didn't we? Multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay. It's coming back to me now.
Yeah. The streets running north and south paralleling Congress were named for Texas rivers with their order of placement matching the order of rivers on the state map. I love that.
Cute.
And then the east and west streets were named after trees native to the region,
Cool.
despite the fact that Waller had recommended using numbers. So they were originally, like, one example was Pecan Street. But these were eventually changed to numbers in 1884, to which I say, bring back the trees.
I know. I want to live on Pecan Street.
East Pecan?
That's so cute. That's so much more fun than a number. As someone who lives on a number, it's not as fun.
So I have several photos, which I encourage you to look at now, of the city of Austin around in the 1880s. And one of them is Pecan Street.
It's cute.
Yeah. So I think it's that first one, 6th Street.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Pecan. What is now 6th used to be Pecan.
Yep, that is it.
And then this Congress Avenue one,
Mm-hmm.
they are laying down the tracks for a streetcar.
Cool.
So the streetcar is not even there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in 1895.
Interesting.
So just to sort of give you a little peek into what our fair city looked like around the time that we will be discussing.
Oh.
In October of 1839, the entire government of the Republic of Texas, arrived by ox cart from Houston
Jesus Christ. Imagine arriving anywhere by ox cart.
with all of your like coworkers.
Oh,
who, by the way, are
God.
now running the government for an entire republic.
I don't even really like a party bus, let alone an ox cart full of my coworkers.
No. By the next January, the population of the town had exploded to 839. The short-lived government did do some cool things, like reserving 40 acres of land north of the capital and downtown for a, quote, university of the first class. And it would later become the central campus of the University of Texas at Austin in 1883. And this is just about where our story starts.
Okay.
A string of murders begins in late 1884 in Austin, Texas, establishing what is widely acknowledged as one of the first serial murders or serial murderers in the United States. So just to give you some other United States serial murderers around this time, the Benders operated from 1870 to 1873, so like 11 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember the Benders? They were the homesteader family,
Oh.
and they were like way out on the prairie, and they would and the daughter posed as like a psychic, and she would lure men to their home.
Yes, they lured people there.
They
were like
murdered
spiritualists
from behind a sheet.
Yes. Okay. I
They
remember
had like a
this now.
sheet hanging up, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was just 11 years earlier. Belle Gunness also began operating in 1884, so the same year. And Jack the Ripper did not commit his crimes in London until 1888. So this predates Jack the Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
And then another little historical context piece. This is from Retelling Central Texas History. As a result of the active exclusion of Tejanos Mexicans and indigenous peoples by Anglos Texans during the Texas Republic era.
Jesus. Yep. Rolls right off the tongue.
Well, basically, during the Texas Revolution, when Texas was like, we are not Mexico, we are Texas, there was a lot of racism at play.
Of course.
So there was a lot of segregation between Texan Mexicans and then also in the indigenous people versus the white people. So as a result of this, the population of this newly formed capital of Austin became racially binary, white and black. By the end of the Civil War, so that was 1865, as freed black people fled the former plantations of Central Texas, they reached over a third of Austin's inhabitants.
Wow.
These refugees from plantation life settled in small communities surrounding the capital's core, creating vibrant, semi-autonomous outposts of black life, including schools, businesses, and churches.
Which means somebody's going to destroy it. And the somebodies are white people.
Well, not necessarily in this story. We'll see. And also what we know of journalism and like policing and long distance communications and like police working together across jurisdictions, etc. Especially in the late 1800s, this informs a lot about how this case shook out and also why we really don't have a lot of information about it. And also, by the way, it remains unsolved.
Damn.
So
Okay.
keep that in mind. So these murders are known as the servant girl murders, perpetrated by who was later dubbed the servant girl annihilator or the midnight assassin.
Interesting.
All of these victims were attacked in the middle of the night in their bedrooms while they were asleep in bed, which I think is
Terrifying.
it gave like Golden State Killer vibes.
Yeah, that happens in my case too.
It's just when you're sleeping and a home
You're
invasion.
most vulnerable.
Yeah, and these were all like axe murders too.
Oof.
Yeah. The servant girl name is because most of the victims were young black women who were working as domestic servants.
So probably not even women in all cases, because there were children in those homes too that were old enough to work, but were not adhering to like being 18, those kinds of rules that we have now.
Not at all. The servant girl thing is misleading. because not all of them were Black, not all of them were women, and not all of them were people of age. Okay, but so they were young Black girls working as domestic servants, and this was common at this time in many Austin households. Again, like I said, about a third of the city were Black people. So I think given the time and the kind of work that was available to that community at that time, that was just common to have a person of color be a domestic servant in your house. And I also, again, don't have a lot of details. I don't know if I think they were at their own homes from what I know.
When they were killed.
When they were killed, yeah. Okay. I can tell you that 5 of the female victims were attacked in their beds and then dragged outside and generally sexually assaulted and killed outdoors.
Oh my God.
3 of the victims who survived were all severely mutilated outdoors, and I think most of them were also sexually assaulted. 6 of the murdered women had a, quote, sharp object inserted into their ears.
Ears?
Yeah.
Oh.
They were very bloody crime scenes. Like I said, most of them were axe bludgeoning situations. And then I read the autopsy for our first victim. I'll tell you about our first victim first. On the night of December 30th, 1884, 25-year-old Molly Smith was attacked and murdered while she slept. And a man named Walter Spencer was seriously wounded. She was, I don't really know what the weapon was. It sounded like it was an axe in definitely most cases. According to her autopsy report, she had been stabbed twice in the side on her left side of the head, and then the knife or whatever she was being stabbed with had gone through her right ear.
Ugh.
And that's what killed her. And I don't know if they left it in. I don't know if they left it in there. Again, the details and the media at this time, it's all sensationalized. It's all
it's hard to know.
Speculation and hearsay. I'm sure the crime scenes were just not.
No, they're not using elevated
the
forensic science.
Wouldn't be,
Yeah. And the victims are marginalized people, so they're not taking as much care. This is very early.
Not all of them.
Well, not all of them, but predominantly.
Okay, so our first victim on the night of December 30th, 1884, 25-year-old Molly Smith was attacked and murdered while she slept. A man named Walter Spencer was seriously wounded. I believe that she was bludgeoned with an axe, and then he was the killer tried to kill Walter Spencer and didn't. He survived.
He survived. Okay.
On March 19th, 1885, Clara Strand and Christine Martinson, who were 2 Swedish servant girls, they were friends and sleeping in the same house or room or something. They were shot and seriously wounded, but they did not die. And we don't know for sure that this was the same perpetrator.
Yeah, it's just a strange. It's the timing, the victims.
Yeah.
I can see why they would connect them, but not necessarily outright say, yeah, it was the same killer. It's just oddly, suspiciously connected.
Yeah, there weren't too many midnight murders in someone's home in this city that didn't have a enormous population. On May 6th, 1885, 30-year-old Eliza Shelley, she was the mother of 3. She was murdered, I believe with an axe. May 22nd, 33-year-old Irene Cross was murdered with a knife. She was stabbed to death. Sometime in August, there was a woman named Clara Dick who was seriously wounded. We also don't know if this was him because it was not quite the same as the other ones. On the night of August 30th, 11-year-old Mary Ramey I think she was sleeping in bed with her mother, Rebecca. She was sexually assaulted and murdered. Her mother was seriously wounded.
But survived.
There's a picture of Mary on the drive if you want to look at it. Or it's a picture of what is purported to be Mary. There are unfortunately very few, if any, reliable sources of any of these victims of color. Because there were white victims and we have their photos.
Right.
On September 28th, Gracie Vance and her boyfriend Orange Washington, love that name, they were murdered with an axe. One source said that there were 2 others wounded in this attack who were their friends. There were 2 17-year-old girls named Lucinda Buddy and Patsy Gibson, but those 2 survived. So we're back in the calendar, on the night of December 24th, Christmas Eve, almost a year after the first killing.
Wow.
The killer struck twice in one night, killing Susan Hancock and Eula Phillips. So both of these women were white and both of them were married. Eula was only 17 years old, but she was married. And there is a photo of Eula on the drive, which is kind of the most widely circulated photo just because it's of good quality. And I also have a picture of the other white person who was murdered, who was Susan Hancock. Yeah, it's just, you dig back and you try to dig through all these sources and get like something about these victims, but that's just not the way that they just didn't keep those kinds of records. And it's just
that they weren't telling those stories in the news. So.
So 41-year-old Susan was sleeping. This source said she was sleeping in the bed of her 16-year-old daughter. I don't think her daughter was there.
Okay.
I think she was just sleeping in her daughter's bed. There was no other mention of her daughter. She was killed with an axe. Her husband Moses was initially accused of killing his wife, but he was soon acquitted. And Eula's husband James was also arrested they thought that he had killed his wife, Eula. Witnesses testified that he had repeatedly said he would kill Eula if he ever found her to be unfaithful, and also that he was prone to violent outbursts.
Oh, Lord.
So in court, he was found guilty of murdering his wife, but the conviction was later overturned, citing insufficient evidence. So that didn't stick. Also, maybe he was an abusive asshole husband and also didn't kill his wife with an axe.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Many theories were put forward as the crimes continued without resolution, speculations about the perpetrators and their elusive abilities grew more and more fantastic. The killer was variously reported to have been white or dark complexioned, or
helpful,
or of mixed race. Also said that he was wearing lamp black to conceal his skin color, which is like a black, it's like powder.
Yeah.
Something to do with lamps, but that's just make your whole face black. Or a man wearing a quote Mother Hubbard style dress, so it'd be like a night dress.
Creepy.
I know.
Mother Hubbard, get out of here.
I know.
Go to bed, girl.
Go to bed.
Yuck.
Mother Hubbard, get back in your cupboard.
Yeah, immediately.
Or a man wearing a slouch hat, which, okay, this is like a weirdly shaped hat. Or a man wearing a hat and a white rag that covered the lower part of his face.
How do you even find a person when you have all of these different descriptions of this is nuts?
I know. There were also reports that the killer worked with an accomplice or belonged to a gang of murderers. According to the Texas Monthly, powerful elected officials refused to believe that one man or one group of men was responsible for all of these murders. They were like, well, it's not just one person. It's got to be more than one. These aren't connected.
It could be either way.
It's not an organized thing. I think they were just sort of in denial that any one person could be this violent and gross and they can't find him.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing, like in this small community, without a lot of resources and support to like find the person, you can kind of get away with a lot for a while.
Yeah.
And then the unfortunate reality is that other people will sometimes take advantage of that. So like it's entirely possible that the abusive husband in that other case did kill his wife and wanted it to look like it was this mysterious, we didn't even have the word serial killer at that time, or the words serial killer. Like people will copycat and try to hide in plain sight. It's just such an odd series of events.
Very. The African-American community and some practitioners of voodoo believed that the killer was a white man who had magic powers that enabled him to become invisible because apparently no dogs outside or in fenced yards adjacent to locations where murders occurred were heard to bark or raise any alarm.
Oh, that's scary.
Someone creeping around in the middle of the night and the dog's not barking.
Yeah, I wonder it's like if you bring like scraps of meat or something to distract, like if he had a strategy for distracting animals.
Maybe.
If he had cased homes before entering the homes and then therefore knew that there was an animal on the property. Because he's clearly, whatever person or persons is doing this, they're targeting specific, like they're at least trying to consistently target. I know there's like one guy in there or whatever, but they're trying to like harm women and girls, of lower status, most likely, especially if a lot of them are like a servant class or indentured servants or, freed enslaved people. So you'd have to like do a little, and I mean, in a small community, it's not hard to just like get to know people. I know that these folks have 2 kids. I know that these folks have, 2 quote unquote servants. I know that these folks have a dog, like, and then make your moves using that information that you've obtained.
Yep.
That's so creepy because it could easily be either or. It could be a ring of people doing it, or it could be an individual. There's no way to really know.
We'll get to some of the theories because it was like profiled by criminologists later. But okay. But the crime scenes themselves were consistent, at least for the ones that they definitely attribute to this killer. So that would be a bloody axe or other sharp implement was often left behind. Sometimes footprints were found, and apparently these footprints were a little bit unique. And bloodhounds were also used to track suspects. The police during this time arrested hundreds of black men over the course of the year.
Of course.
Plus those 2 white husbands. Who, by the way, the 2 white, I mean, that happened at the very end of the spree, you know. But responsibility for the crimes could not be proven conclusively, and people were pissed at the cops' inability to stop these murders. So finally, by the time 2 white women were killed on Christmas Eve, the city was on the verge of like mob violence.
Oh, Lord.
So the cops were like hiring more officers. They were putting out bigger rewards. Like the pressure was really, really mounting. Despite all efforts to apprehend the killer having failed after December 1885, after those 2 women were murdered, the killer never struck again, at least that we know of. It stopped. On July 15th, 2014, the PBS TV show History Detectives aired an episode on the killings. Using a combination of historical research and modern techniques, including psychological and geographic profiling, they identified a suspect. So Nathan Elgin, a 19-year-old African-American cook, was their suspect. Nathan had worked in close proximity to the crime scenes and was also missing his little toe, which was similar to a footprint believed to have been left by the killer.
Oh, they had a footprint, not just a shoe print.
Yeah, I guess.
Damn.
In February 1886, shortly after the last murder, so 2 months later, Elgin was shot and killed by police while he was attempting to assault a girl with a knife.
So that could point to a pattern of behavior. And then, yeah, if he's not alive to be really questioned in these murders.
But the theory, the theory is that the killer worked in the area where a lot of these servants lived, because remember I said the city is very much segregated into these different communities, which, you know, lower class communities. This is where the servants lived. A lot of them happened near a certain train station. So there's theories that this person didn't even live in Austin. They could just come in, commit a crime in the middle of the night, and peace out.
Leave.
Also, that so there were the two Swedish girls. I'm assuming they were white, but they were also servants and they were immigrants. So that would put them at the same like socioeconomic status as these black domestic servants. So we have, and then we have him. He's clearly targeting women. But if there's anyone else around, he will go after them too. So hence Walter Spencer, the man. He killed Orange Washington, the man. And then he injured like the two friends, Orange's friends. He injured the mother of that little girl. He'll go after them, whether he kills them or not. He attacks everybody who's even in the vicinity. And then the theory is that he kind of worked his way up. He thought it would be too risky to target white women of a certain social class. But then once he had 6 victims, murder victims under his belt or so,
more confident.
He just went for it, and then the pressure got to be too much and he left. He left town. Isn't that fucked up?
That is wild. Yeah.
Servant girl murders.
Ugh, really scary stuff.
Yeah. So if you know anything of this murder spree that happened 140 years ago.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, we'll just never know. We will never know.
I hate that.
I know you do. I'm sorry.
But at least if you're going to give me something unsolved, it's like a few hundred years old. So this person's not still at large, no matter who they may end up being.
Yeah. It didn't affect anyone who you love today.
Nope.
Probably.
Oh, God. Okay. Sorry. I got hit with a yawn, but you're not boring. You're amazing. And I love you. Let's take another quick break to hear a word from our sponsors.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I have the fan pick today. So you know we're about to get dark because y'all are a mess, just like us. So
just like the Republic of Texas.
Yeah. We are going back in time, but not as far as Lucy did. December 2014, when the city of Austin, Texas was suddenly like, what the fuck? Because of a pretty quick succession of brutal nighttime murders. Sound familiar?
Oh my God. Jesus.
And they too were concerned at first that a serial killer might be plaguing their city. So Sidney Shelton, 85 years old, and his wife Billy Shelton, 83 years old.
I love an old lady named Billy.
I know, they're really cute. Were the embodiment of a life well lived. They were married for 64 years. They were described by their children and neighbors as hardworking, devoted, and exceptionally kind people who might, quote, send you on your way with some cookies.
Oh.
Just a sweet old married couple minding their own damn business. They had lived in their central Austin home since 1957, raising their family in a quiet neighborhood where they had always felt safe. But on December 15th, 2014, the Sheltons' home nurse, a woman named Dal Kotrala, arrived for a scheduled visit and found the front door splintered and busted open.
Uh-oh.
And I read some excerpts of an interview that she gave, talking about like she was immediately scared, but she really cares about them. So she just kind of like pushed herself to go inside, and their house wasn't very big. She got to their bedroom really quickly. She looked around the house. She got to the bedroom last. And she discovered a scene of absolute horror, really. The room had been ransacked. Sidney and Billy were dead in their bed. She said, quote, their room had been ransacked, and then to the left, I saw him on the bed, and I ran. I just turned and I ran. So...
Him meaning
Sydney.
Sydney.
And she probably saw him and ran before she even took in that Billy was also in bed with him, because it was a bloody, horrible mess.
Ugh.
One thing she noticed, though, before she fled the room was that a knife was still present, sticking out of one of the victims, probably
Oh my God.
Sydney. The scene, like I said, was brutal. They'd been beaten in the head, both of them, strangled and stabbed. And in a particularly gruesome detail, Billy had been stabbed multiple times in the face, including in the eye.
Oh, well.
Despite the violence, the killer left no DNA or fingerprints even on that knife that was left behind, so he'd clearly been in gloves. Additionally, a Winchester 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun was missing from the Shelton's hall closet. So it sounds very much like snuck up on you before you even had a chance to get to the gun. It is Texas, after all. They were asleep.
Yes, it's so fucking creepy. What are you gonna do?
And this person very brutally and violently killed them. However, the detectives noticed a chilling signature at the scene that they had seen before. In fact, just 9 days earlier, at the home of beloved choir director, 53-year-old single mom Kathy Blair. Just like in the Shelton home, the killer had ransacked Kathy's jewelry boxes, pulling out drawers and stacking them neatly after they were emptied. But her laptop, TV, and other valuables remained untouched. So if you go to the drive, there's a picture of, you know, those like kind of soft jewelry boxes that are like collapsible.
Oh, yeah.
So these are drawers, but then I think in another one that I might not have included the photo of, there were some similar like drawers or boxes, but they were like these softer boxes, and they're like stacked and like very clean and empty, but there's no other like clutter or anything about.
So that means that they knew what they were going in for, or that's just like a weird way to stack?
I think what that kind of told detectives was that, or that gave them the indication that this was a murder that had then, after the fact, tried to have been disguised as a robbery gone wrong. Because like the laptops are there,
for like a ton of stuff.
The TV is there, the electronics are there. I like took some jewelry and then like neatly like stacked everything up, so they weren't in a rush to get it before they were confronted and then killed people, the people that are in their beds.
Yeah.
It just seems like sloppiness, but like because it's too neat, other than the actual, you know, like bloody crime scene.
Yeah.
It's just weird. 9 days earlier, like I said, at the home of the beloved choir director, 53-year-old single mom Kathy Blair. So just like in the Shelton home, the killer had ransacked Kathy's jewelry boxes, pulling out drawers and stacking them neatly after they were emptied, just like that photo I showed you. But her laptop, TV, and other valuables remained untouched. As she slept, Blair was stabbed several times in her chest, neck, and face. Just like the Sheltons had been. She was found by her son. She's a single mom.
Oh, my God.
On December 6, 2014. He was like 27 at the time, in a pool of blood that had soaked her bed and her pillows. His name is Joseph. He called the police from his mother's house, saying on the call, quote, "I think my mom is dead. There's a lot of blood. I think someone broke in." But again, without DNA evidence left behind in either scene, investigators had little more than shoe prints to go off of. From those shoe prints, officials could tell the brand and size of the shoe, and they also determined from the pattern of the steps that the owner had a distinctive gait. But without more than that to go on from the crime scene, they had to turn to the neighboring public to try and piece together what had happened. Fortunately, a breakthrough came from two unexpected places. One, a report of a creepy handyman, and two, a neighbor's... Aren't they all? And two, a neighbor's thermal imaging camera.
Oh.
So first, the handyman. Nearly 3 weeks after Kathy Blair's murder, one of her neighbors mentioned that she talked to Kathy about a creepy handyman who had done yard
With an
work.
odd gate.
No. But he had done yard work at Kathy's home the previous spring. And Kathy rented her home. So we were able to figure out who this person was because they could just call the landlord and be like, who did you have come over and do, yard work and repairs at Kathy's house? So the neighbor told investigators that Kathy had mentioned his unsettling behavior and that he was weird and rude. These are little quotes.
Ew.
And Kathy's quite beautiful. Who knows? Maybe he made a pass at her or just he made her uncomfortable. Period. We don't have more details on what that behavior was because she is not here to tell us. And we're just getting this information as a secondhand mention to one of her neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So Kathy's landlord identified this worker as a man named Tim Parlin and noted that he was currently on parole. When detectives searched their computer systems, they found Parlin had spent a few decades in prison off and on, specifically for, quote, nocturnal jewel heists, which made me want to gag.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
Wet heists.
Ew.
Yuck. Worst words in the English language.
Nocturnal.
Nocturnal followed by anything, except for like animal. That's the only thing that is
Fruit
appropriate.
bat.
Yeah, that's fine. Nocturnal emission jewel heists. This matched the signature of the murders.
Nocturnal commission.
Commission.
Of a crime.
This matched the signature of the murders where specifically jewelry boxes were ransacked while victims slept. So he'd had a history of like stealing and pawning jewelry.
That's why he was doing it all carefully.
Mm-hmm. With the specific detail of items being neatly stacked or arranged at the scene, eerily similar to the scenes at both Kathy and the Sheltons' homes. Quote, this was a murder made to look like a burglary, said Detective Derek Israel. That was the exact same thing I'd seen at Kathy Blair's house. So they're like, okay, well, maybe his behavior is escalating. This is him going into these houses and now he wants like more out of this situation. Now he's killing people. He's not just robbing them. Mm-hmm. It's kind of where the cops are. That's where their heads are at. They're like, we got to talk to this guy. The connection grew stronger when investigators found a link to the Shelton crime scene. So the elder Sheltons. Turns out Tim Parlin's brother served as a deacon at the church attended by Sydney and Billy Shelton. So
really?
Tim's
a deacon?
Yeah, I know. Tim's brother is the deacon at Sydney and Billy's church. So
Great.
Tim would have probably gone to that church multiple times. They may have known him for all we know. And so the deacon's wife, so Tim's sister-in-law, his brother's wife, also confirmed that she knew the Sheltons pretty well through their church. These connections allowed for investigators to gain a warrant to search a nearby extended stay hotel room where Tim Parlin was staying temporarily. And in what I read, Tim is married. I don't know if he has any kids. His wife was at the hotel room, but he was not. And they had a warrant. She had to exit, and they searched that room. They found in that room a pawn receipt for a gold pendant and other jewelry items that were confirmed to have belonged to Kathy Blair. And not only that, on the date of that pawn receipt, he had sold that jewelry the same day her body was discovered. So within like basically 24 hours of him allegedly entering this home, killing this woman.
Hold your fucking horses.
He sold her shit.
God.
Surveillance video at the pawn shop showed Tim Parlin and the car that he used that day. The vehicle matched the one in the thermal image. Parlin, though, typically drove a work van, which didn't match the description of the vehicle on the pawn shop surveillance. So investigators are then a little confused about the change in the vehicle until another crucial piece of evidence comes to light. So it's like we've got Tim with these connections, and we've got this car, which is like a small green sedan. Mm-hmm. And then we find evidence in Tim's house, but we don't find that car, and we don't know where Tim is. So we need to find the car, and we need to find Tim.
Things need to start matching up.
Yeah, and they do. This all comes into place pretty quickly, but that's just where we're at, like in this moment after they've found all this shit. in his hotel room and then confirmed that, yep, that's Tim coming in and out of the pawn shop. He's clearly selling Kathy's stuff. He kept the fucking receipt. It's in his hotel room. We can match it in detail to the thing that was stolen from her room. Like, yes. So Kathy's neighbor, a man named Rob Leaf, which like, of course his name is Rob Leaf because he has been noticing specifically a lot of deer in the neighborhood. And he started getting thermal.
Rob Leaf notices.
Rob Leaf is tracking the deer. So he's getting thermal wildlife cameras. I think some that are stationary, but I saw this like news interview with him. And it's like, it looks like a periscope or telescope, whatever. Not a telescope, but like a kaleidoscope, like a kid's kaleidoscope, but it's like infrared.
Cool.
So he's like looking out the window looking for deer and little critters, and then he'll like set it up to like watch his yard and see like what animals are coming. It's Josh literally has one of these at his place in the Berkshires.
I love Leaf.
So he set this up to observe the deer and other critters that had been visiting his yard. But the night of Kathy's murder, the camera captured more than deer. It recorded a stranger with broad shoulders and a distinctive wobbly walk getting out of a small sedan at about 1:16 a.m. The camera was positioned to capture a wide area of the property and recorded the man walking toward Kathy's house, like walking toward her street and turning toward her house after exiting the car. Because thermal imaging detects heat signatures rather than visual light, the footage did not show a license plate or a face on the individual. However, it provided a clear silhouette of a sedan that could then be compared to photos of vehicles or the actual vehicle. And there is a photo on the drive as well, I think, of, you can see it's labeled Blair car.
Oh.
So like the very blurry version of what caught on the camera is on the left, but if you overlaid that on the sedan, it's like the right shape and size and things are in the right spots.
All right.
And then you can see another one that says Kathy Blair, and it's like crosshairs on a red form.
Yeah.
That's him, or the person that was captured on the camera. So like you could see how they walk. It's a moving camera, but you obviously could not identify. You could maybe get like height, weight, and in the ballpark.
It's a red blob.
And how they walk, but it's a red blob. You have no other information. You're assuming that's the frame of a man, but he's clothed. So it really could be any person.
Yeah.
So that's all they've got, but it is helpful.
Yeah. And also deeply frustrating.
Helpful and deeply frustrating. But that sedan was helpful because they had seen on the pawn surveillance footage a sedan, and they had stills from that pawn footage, and they overlaid the two, and it's like, this is the car. Like, it's very, very fucking close. So this helped detectives rule out the van that was usually driven by their initial suspect, Tim Parlin, and instead led them to a green Toyota sedan that they had discovered Parlin was driving because they saw it on the pawn footage, but it wasn't his car. Turns out it's his sister's car. So he'd been using his sister's green Toyota sedan, and they got the car and they searched it, and it had some of Kathy's blood in it. Not enough that was like where she was killed, but certainly enough that someone with that blood or an item that had that blood on it had been like put in the passenger seat and left traces.
Messy.
So they're like, okay, Tim's got to be our guy. It's his sister's car. He's doing the pawn. He's on the pawn footage. But when detectives first interviewed Tim Parlin, they realized his short, stocky build did not match the silhouette in the video, and he did not walk with the, quote, distinctive wobbly walk that had been described by multiple witnesses at this point.
It was the sister.
No. So, and that was caught on the thermal camera. Like, you could see how he was walking differently in the camera footage. So he was clearly connected to this crime, but now they're like, well, wait, is this even the guy who killed Kathy in the Sheltons? Like, I don't know. Under questioning, Parlin identified a man named Shawn Gant-Benalcazar, Shawn, as an associate, and detectives tracked him down and interviewed him in Galveston. Maybe Justin knows him. It's always fucking Galveston. What is going on in Galveston? It's always Justin. It's always Galveston. The turning point occurred when Detective Carrie Scanlon watched Shawn walk down a hallway during a break in their interview, and he immediately recognized the like body type and distinctive walk of the suspect because they had all reviewed the thermal camera footage over and over and over again. It's like all the evidence they had. Scanlon even recorded a video of him walking on his cell phone to play side by side with investigators and confirm that his gait was basically an exact match from the footage from the crime scene. So now we've got this third...
The chills I would have.
I know. So now we've got this guy who Parlin has named. So he would have access, Parlin could have easily loaned him the car and been in cahoots with him. Parlin's the one who's like, here's what you do. You break in, you get the jewelry. But we don't know necessarily why anybody was murdered. Like if that was a Shawn decision or if that was part of the gig, we don't know. Because while they like a little bit turned on each other, they didn't like turn on each other all the way. And I think both of them have been so determined to maintain their innocence to a specific point that we're never really going to get the full story, which is really sad because how this falls it feels like very partial justice. And so I'm sure that's really hard on these families. So, but I am curious what you think after we kind of go over these last details. So the video served as a forensic anchor that allowed detectives to move past Parlin's like deflections and random bullshit and recognize that like Shawn was the one who entered the homes, but Parlin was a co-conspirator. Even if you didn't go in there and kill anyone, this has your fucking MO written all over it, which now is really interestingly being carried out by this guy, Shawn, who matches the like exact physical description of the person recorded essentially walking right up to Kathy's house.
Something's mixed up here.
That night.
Yeah.
So they're working together.
They have to be.
So Shawn was an unlikely suspect. He was a little younger. At the time, I think he was like 34. He had no criminal record. He was a graduate of the University of Texas. He had been a high school science teacher. Like, it's giving Breaking Bad.
Oh my God.
He was definitely not someone they would have looked at without camera evidence. Mm-hmm. Tim Parlin and this Shawn Gant-Benalcazar guy had met through a family connection only a few months before the murders took place. During Shawn's interrogation, he revealed that the two were introduced because his sister, Shawn's sister, had begun dating Tim Parlin's nephew. So they'd met at some big family function because Parlin's nephew and Shawn's sister were dating each other.
And he was like, hey, you look like a criminal.
They must have
hang out?
We don't really know like how that relationship really developed. They must have... they clearly got to know each other somehow. Like this introduction
That's
ultimately
just such a weirdly like
it's weird.
What relationship is that? My nephew is dating your. That's just odd.
It's very weird. But if they were thrown together in the same family functions a couple times and they struck up a friendship, and it escalated quickly. It sounds
Very
like
quickly.
It sounds like Tim's been doing this shit for a long time, and. What I could really find about Shawn, I even like went to look for his Facebook and I think I found it. It like had his college and everything on it. Articles are saying he was a former science teacher, but like the last place he worked on Facebook, there's admittedly not much to go on, but was like a service industry, like kind of low paying job. Okay. So I'm seeing a possibility where Tim and Shawn hit it off and then Tim is like, hey, you're short on cash? Mm-hmm. And Shawn is like, sure am. And then things just get very fucking out of hand. Ugh. But it's just really confusing because like the murders are so brutal and so fucking unnecessary. You can rob people without murdering them. Yeah. And also like don't rob people, but
with
like
a knife.
Yeah, it's so weird.
You don't need to stab some old people to death while they're sleeping.
You really don't. This introduction...
Just be quiet. They can't hear anyway.
No, exactly. Just take the shit and leave.
Yeah.
This introduction led to a partnership that detectives also found deeply unlikely, as the two men came from vastly different backgrounds. But despite their differences, a relationship formed, And Shawn would even travel from his home in Galveston to Austin on weekends and hang out with Parlin. And they were there, they were placed together like during the time frames of both the Blair and Shelton murders. So like before the murders together in Galveston, and then during the murders together in Austin. And Tim had provided like some bullshit alibi that was almost immediately debunked. So they were like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So then Shawn is taken into custody because Tim is turned on him, saying like a canary, at least enough to try and like put everything on him and go, hey, I just wanted to get some money. I just wanted to rob some houses. I got this young pup to come do that for me. All the murdering that happened in there had nothing to do with me. I don't know why the hell he did that.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn confessed to stabbing Kathy Blair the night that he robbed her home, but claimed that he had no intention of harming anyone and that she had lunged at him during the burglary, sparking his response. He said, quote,
she didn't.
Right? He said, quote, she woke up and she lunged at me. It was a struggle and I stabbed her in the neck. It's like, no, actually you beat her and stabbed her multiple times.
Yeah.
And she was found laying in her bed. So what did she do? She heard you and she sat up in her bed and you just pounced on her and killed her?
Lunged. Give me a fucking break.
It's so weird. So that's what I'm saying. This feels unlikely. Kathy was found dead, still in her bed. But he adamantly denied any involvement in the Shelton murders. He was like, yep, I killed Kathy because she jumped at me, self-defense or whatever the fuck. Even though you're breaking into her house. But yeah, as like, I killed her in response to her lunging at me. We had a struggle. Things got out of control. I stabbed her, but I didn't do anything to the Sheltons. In May of 2018, Tim Parlin stood trial, even though they couldn't place him inside of those homes. Tim still stood trial for the murders of both Kathy Blair and the Sheltons. Although his defense argued he never entered the homes, Texas law allows for a conviction if a person is complicit in the crime. Oh. Prosecutors presented evidence that Parlin gave the Sheltons' stolen shotgun to an acquaintance. So whoever entered the Sheltons' house that night, either Tim or Shawn, they stole that shotgun. It ended up in Tim's possession. He, quote unquote, gifted it to a friend. They found it. So it's like, we know that you were either in there directly or were in cahoots with the person in there because you literally had the gun.
Yeah.
That was stolen from their fucking house.
Give it up.
So his possession of the missing firearm was enough to connect him to the crime, like beyond reasonable doubt. Plus the pawn of Kathy's jewelry. I mean, there was a ton of evidence. The blood in his car. There was a lot. There just wasn't evidence to put him in the home and therefore identify him as the killer of either of these parties. But then because of that Texas law, it's like, but it doesn't really matter if you went in there at all because you were so connected to this crime that you're complicit. So you can also be tried for capital murder.
Yeah, the jury, that's fucked up too.
I mean, it is. And also I can see, I mean, I always want to try to like understand the benefit of anything in our justice system, though there is so little. But I think about like kids who die or unfortunately harm others because they have gained access to like a weapon from their parent that wasn't properly stored. Mm-hmm. It's like that parent didn't pull the trigger and harm a child, but their child did because of direct acts, like complicity of the parent. Like I understand where things like this would feel like they make sense. And frankly, I don't have a problem with Tim Parlin being fucking in jail forever because...
Oh, I don't either. I think
they are dead also because of him. He identified these homes. He made these connections. He knew the Sheltons. Like...
I just don't trust...
No, I don't either.
Any given Texan law. And
any
also,
law, period, basically.
Your specific example should be unique to minors and firearms because the law as it is like there, it's really broad. And then
I mean,
then
it is broad.
Snag a lot of people to go down for something that might be kind of hard to prove.
Yes, it leaves too many doors open for things like that. That's basically the name of the game with like everything in our justice system. And I don't really have a problem Withholding people who are so deeply complicit in the death of another person, even if they weren't the one to pull the trigger or stab the knife, if without that person would still be alive. Like without Tim Parlin, Shawn would not have known about any of these people. And so those people would be alive if Tim Parlin were not in the picture. And Tim didn't have to be the one to stab them to then be responsible, to be partially responsible. So I agree with that. Like, I agree with that application of the law. You know, but I also, again, completely agree with you that, like, all of these laws that are written in such a way are
Harmful.
It's a slippery slope, and it's very scary. Across the board here, we're dealing with white people. We're dealing with white victims. We're dealing with white perpetrators. And so we're seeing the application of the law, I feel like, through the lens of how it should apply to everyone. Because there isn't just like these stacked layers of racism and white supremacy and oppression that are directly affecting that outcome because of race. So I do think that it is applied properly in this situation. But hear what you're saying, 100%.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't
slippery
reacting.
slope.
I wasn't reacting to this necessarily, but when you said that law and like that, it doesn't matter if they have enough evidence for X, they can get him on Y. It's like, well, that's kind of fucked.
It is scary. Fortunately, in this case, there was so much evidence against Tim Parlin that literally the only thing they couldn't prove was that he was at the houses when this happened. But he's the only reason anyone was at the houses when these happened. So I do agree with how it was applied here. The jury found him guilty of capital murder, and he received a mandatory sentence of life without parole. Shawn's first trial for the murder of Kathy Blair began a few weeks before Tim. So by the time Tim was sentenced, this first trial had ended in a mistrial because one juror doubted Shawn's confession and like to police about Kathy and couldn't in good faith cast a guilty vote, which then triggered a brand new trial. And so 5 months later, in October of 2018, his second trial started. And he was at that trial convicted of capital murder and also sentenced to life without parole. So though, for Kathy, because we had the video evidence that connected the car that was provided by Tim and then the man with the obvious walking pattern going into the home. Just all those connections with Tim, the lack of an alibi, the timing of everything, when they were together in Austin, when they were together in Galveston, like all of it. So they got that all for Kathy, but they didn't have enough to charge him and try him for the Shelton murders. There was just not enough direct physical evidence. So Tim ended up, because, there was enough evidence connecting it to Tim, he got a bunch of charges, but they ultimately got the same sentences. So like, that's what I mean, where it's like, it's justice-ish, because yes, they're going away, but the families of the Sheltons don't get that. I mean, like, what is it? The worst word ever is closure when you're experiencing like some of the worst fucking trauma you've ever experienced in your life. But there is something to be said for the world can now know that my loved one was taken by these people.
Yeah.
And the Shelton family survivors don't really get that. They get the sort of like, yeah, we know enough to put them away, but really more for the Kathy of it all. And I'm so glad that Kathy's gotten justice for her killers. She should. I just wish that the same could be said for the Shelton family. I think that they deserve that. And there's a difference between us going, well, yeah, they did it, and the law actually having that on record that he did it. It's a different feeling, I would have to imagine. It's important to those survivors, I would have to imagine. And, I really do wish them the best and hope that where they are now, they're happy and healthy and they're doing okay. But detectives for sure remained 100% convinced that it was Shawn who was the one who physically killed the couple. And that Parlin, the couple and Kathy, and that Parlin facilitated those crimes. I want to know what you think, because it is kind of crazy that there's no physical evidence of Shawn being in the home. There's more physical evidence for Kathy because of that video, but there's none in the Shelton murders.
I don't know. I really don't know what to think. And also, like, there were so many little details and so many of them contradicted that I want like a board with the red string.
I know.
Like
I know.
I need to visualize how, and I really do think that like the way that so many crimes occur, there are so many stupid little tiny decisions, and any one dumb thing, whether anyone notices it or not, could make the difference between getting caught and not getting caught. And there's just too random sometimes to even really take into account all of the possibilities, because it's like, I don't know, it's just too random.
Yeah, and with these guys, you know, not really talking, it's like it's impossible to ever know exactly why, like what's going on in somebody's head. But yeah, this case just like made me it's so senseless. It's like you came and you murdered these people asleep in their beds so you could like grab a little bit of jewelry to pawn.
Yeah.
What are you fucking doing? What is
life.
this? Yeah. What a loser move. Grow up.
Grow up.
I don't know. I just the senseless shit like this, just none of it ever fucking sits right with me. But this shit just pisses me off in a way that like is so unsettling. Because it really is just that whole like everything is fucking random. These people didn't know shit about these two guys, barely even noticed they existed, and now they're both dead because two assholes. Yeah, because two assholes met each other and fucked around.
It's wild.
It's so frustrating. Never meet a man.
Literally.
Men, stop meeting other men. We're done with
never
it.
meet a man applies to everyone.
Everyone.
Don't talk to your nephew's girlfriend's grandpa.
Ugh.
Grow up.
No. All right. Well, that's my case. Lynn, thank you. Sorry. There's so much. I had to like parse it down as much as I could, but damn.
Yeah.
It was a wild time.
You did a good job. Lynn, I hope we did your beloved city justice. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Like what you see? Check out more episodes and become a member to unlock exclusive content.
Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Bye.